All right, guys, so we're going to learn a third way to solve systems today, and it's called substitution. You kind of already know how to do this because you've been substituting sort of as your last step of the elimination process, so you kind of are already used to this. It's just a little bit more in depth. But before we do that, let's review a couple of ideas. So first off, when should you graph? You know, we've learned two different types of ways of solving systems, and one of them is by graphing, and the other one is using elimination. So let's try to figure out when is the best to use which one. And so when to graph, I think probably the best time to graph is when both equations are in slope-intercept form. The best time to use elimination is when both equations are in standard form. And if you go back and look at all of the different systems that we've solved, you'll find out that that is the case for both of those. We graphed equations that were in slope-intercept form, and we used elimination for equations that were in standard form. But there's a third option when solving a system, and that's called substitution. So to use substitution, we want one of the equations to be solved. Like this equation has the y equals in front of it. And so that's kind of a clue that substitution is the best option there. So best to use when one equation has either x or y alone, like the top equation for this example here. So this is how to use substitution. I'm going to walk you through it real kind of slowly. The top equation says y equals all of that stuff. And if 2x minus 7 is exactly the same as y, then we can substitute 2x minus 7 in place of that y in the second equation. So if we do that, instead of x plus y equals 11, we'll have x plus 2x minus 7 equals 11. So we put all of this in place of that y. Instead of the y, it's like we pitched the y out of there and we replaced it with 2x minus 7. The benefit of that is now you have an equation that just has x, and now you can solve that. So solving this, I can combine these like terms, make them x, add 7 to both sides, divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 6. So now I know those are going to cross at 6 something. From here, you do the exact same thing that we did for the elimination process. I'm now going to take that 6, I'm going to plug it into the top equation and place the x. Now that equation looks like y equals 2 times 6 minus 7, so more substitution. And I get y equals 5. So those lines will cross at 6, 5. So this portion of the problem is exactly like we used to do. It's just that first step that's a lot different. Let's look at another one. That was the same equation, so we'll get rid of that. And we'll scroll down here. Okay, so this time, my top equation says that x equals, which means any x, I should be able to replace it with y plus 4. That means my second equation will look like 2y plus y plus 4 equals 19. This right here used to be x, but we replaced it. We pitched the x out of there, and we replaced it with x plus 4. Now we can solve this. My like terms, 3. Subtract 4 from both sides. Divide by 3. So now I know that the lines will cross at 5 something. So the top equation, that should be y. Substitute the top equation, and I have x equals 5 plus 4. So x equals 9, and the lines will cross at 5 9. Let's look at another one. Last one. The bottom equation this time says that x equals, which means pitch the x out of there and replace it with 4y minus. The equation becomes 2 times x, but instead of x, put in, and then keep writing the equation, plus 2y equals 3. And now I just need to solve. So we'll just the 2, the 8y minus 4 plus 2 equals 3. Combine my left terms, that's 10y. Add 2 to both sides. Divide both sides by 10, and I have y equals 1 half. So now I know the line cross at something 1 half. To get the x, I'm going to take that 1 half, place it at y. That's x equals 4 times a half minus 1. Half of 4 is 2. X equals 1. The line will cross at 1 half. Okay, so now that you've watched this film, my suggestion is that you start it over again, but this time take notes. Watch the whole thing again, and this time take notes. And then watch it a third time with your notes open and make sure that you didn't miss anything. Kind of like go through it again, make sure you didn't miss anything. Tomorrow in class, I'm going to be looking first off to make sure that you've got the notes. So please make sure that you really take notes on this and that your notes are super complete. So I'm going to be looking for those notes. And then on my classroom, I'm going to put a document that just has 3 problems on it, just to give you a little bit more practice with solving with systems. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.